Hey, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Whitney.
We started this true crime podcast over a glass of wine and quickly turned from true crime listeners into true crime advocates.
So get comfy, pop a cork, and grab a glass because we have work to do.
This is Cults, Crimes, and Cabernet. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. And post Thanksgiving.
Yes, it was a crazy week of fun in the Line Weber house.
Yep. And in the St. Andre house. I guess it wasn't really that crazy because half of my family was sick and couldn't make it. And it was actually kind of chill.
Okay, I love it. Chill Thanksgivings are awesome.
Yep.
Really, the only announcement we have is this is your last opportunity to go get those tickets for our live show in Atlanta. It was literally this coming Saturday.
Yep. And it's almost sold out. Where else are you going to see 13 podcasts, 13 true crime podcasts at that on one stage? That's not a giant convention. Tickets are $30. Oh, you can't really beat that.
You cannot. It's going to be a ton of fun, and we can't wait to see you all there.
Also, today is the last day to benefit on our 30% off site wide. We did a Black Friday sale and then we pushed it to Small Business Saturday. And now we're going to extend that into Cyber Monday. So go grab some merch at 30% off on cultscrimescabernet.com.
Perfect.
All right. You got your wine?
I do. I have a 2020 Lost Poet Red Blend, and it is pretty delish. I've been into red blends, especially the weather's getting velvety, juicy, flavorful.
Ooh, I love it. Those are good words. Good words.
Oh, I took them off the website. So
Nice. Nice.
Oh, good.
All right, let's get into it.
Perfect. We are going to be talking about a case in Florida. And this one is actually pretty close to where I live, Clearwater. It's actually pretty well known even for those that do not live in the Sunshine State because it has amazing beaches.
I've heard of it before, but I guess I didn't realize that it was associated with great beaches. I've just heard the name before.
Oh, yeah. It's usually always in the top 10 beaches in the whole United States. Like that. I think right now it's teetering at number 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really good beach. I know. I don't think we brought you there when we visit.
But the hurricanes may have made that drop down on the list a little bit.
Possibly. There are about 117,000 people that actually live in this town. But let me tell you, way more people visit on the daily basis. Trying to get to this beach on a holiday weekend will literally take you forever. And we're not even going to talk about parking. This is literally $60 parking.
What? For a beach?
For the beach. It is that packed on holidays and like long weekends, like that type of thing. Oh, it's so hard to find a parking spot there.
That's crazy.
It has a huge public art and design program. And if you have seen the movie Dolphin Tales, it was actually about the first dolphin to be fitted with a prosthetic tail. This took place at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. This aquarium is not a huge place at all, but because of this movie, this nonprofit grew like crazy. We have been there a couple of times while Winter was still alive. That's the name of the dolphin. And she passed away in 2021.
I was about to say, I remember seeing the movie because for a hot minute, my youngest was into dolphins. And I remember watching the movie with him. And I remember the headlines that she had passed.
Yes. So Clearwater overall is amazing. And I would highly recommend everyone visiting. As far as crime here, it is a relatively safe place. It's pretty even with violent crime in Florida and the national median. We've got Clearwater at a 3.94, Florida at a 3.87, and then the national average is like a 4.0. So very neck and neck as far as violent crimes go. Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt was born on December 18th of 1991 to mother Leah Hackett, who was 21 years old. In the year 2000, when Zachary was only 8 years old, he vanished pretty much without a trace. He was your typical third grader. He was goofy, fun, very smart, had zero issues in school. He loved the beach, building sandcastles, and playing with his cousins. Zachary only lived with his mother there in Clearwater, but he had a large extended family that were always around and actually played a role in his raising. The day before he went missing was a typical day for him. This was September 10th, a Sunday. So Zach was outside playing with his neighbors. He had a movie night on the couch with his mom. The next day was a school day, but Zach was able to stay up until around 11 p.m. with his mom, just hanging out. His mom, Leah, said that they had made an agreement that Zach would be allowed to sleep in her room after the movie instead of going to his bed. So around 11 p.m., Zach gets into his mom's bed and goes to sleep. Now, Leah worked nights, but didn't have to work on this particular night. However, since she was so used to staying up all night and sleeping during the day, that's what her body was used to. So even on nights that she didn't work, she would typically stay up all night and then sleep once Zach went to school.
I feel like that's the best way to do it, because if you are on that night shift, it's so hard on your body to switch back and forth from staying up all night, sleeping all day, and then letting a day pass, and then staying up all day, sleeping all night. Just the back and forth wear and tear puts so much wear and tear on your body.
Exactly. She was so used to the staying up night, sleeping after she got him off to school. I would just keep it like that as much as possible.
Absolutely.
So after Zach went to bed, she stated she did some chores around the house. She watched some TV. She went on the internet chat rooms for a bit. And then around 1 a.m., she took the trash out. Now, she drove the trash to the dumpster. Many people think that this was weird, but I've lived in an apartment complex, dumpster could be a ways away, and it could be heavy. I don't know. I don't think it's that weird that she drove, especially in the
Or
middle of the night.
right? Or what if it's multiple bags? So what if she's afraid one ripped? That would be an entire nightmare that you don't even want to get into.
Exactly. And this wasn't the safest area of town either. So definitely, I would be driving. So Leah states she came back home after throwing away the trash and she did some more random things at home. And then she decided to go for a walk. She leaves the front door to the apartment unlocked while Zachary slept. So she usually stays up all night, like I said, but maybe she's restless. Maybe she's wanting to get some energy out before lying down to sleep. But it's weird that she would drive the trash to the dumpster, but then she's going to go for a walk. So obviously she probably wasn't too concerned about her safety or anything like that.
Hmm.
But like you said, maybe she didn't want the trash to rip.
Or maybe she drove the trash to the dumpster because she thought it would be quicker leaving her son alone in the house.
Very true. Very true. So she decides to go for this walk. She leaves the apartment door unlocked. Not crazy weird. The next part is weird. And even Leah herself can't explain why she did it. She went for a swim in the apartment community pool in the middle of the night, fully dressed. No towel, anything like that. There are reports that she didn't even really like to swim, but she just decided this night to jump in and do a few laps in her clothes without a towel or anything before
Hmm.
she went back up to her apartment.
Interesting.
Yes, that's a little weird. So when she gets back up to her apartment, she states that the air conditioner is on and her being soaking wet, she's a bit cold. So she decides to jump in the hot shower to warm up. After getting out of the shower, Leah finally looks in her bedroom and does not see Zach.
Oh, no.
Yes. She starts looking around this small apartment at this point and even under the bed because maybe he fell off of the bed and rolled under. If it's a small apartment, he's an 8-year-old little boy. You would be able to find him quickly, but she cannot find him anywhere.
Or he got up, he had to go to the restroom, went to the bathroom, came back, realized his mom wasn't in the apartment, got scared, hid.
Possibly. So she's looking everywhere. She cannot find him. It's about 4:47 a.m. on September 11th of the year 2000. Leah calls 911 to report Zach missing. Leah is taken to the station for questioning while Zach's grandmother stays at the apartment in case they get any news about his whereabouts. Of course, Leah is scrutinized by the police. Her story isn't adding up to them. However, Leah has always maintained her innocence, and for a while after Zach disappeared, she was pleading with the public for help, to keep searching, to do anything to keep her little boy at the forefront of their mind. They wouldn't let her in on the searches, which they don't usually let, especially immediate family, moms and dads. So she had to stay at the apartment at all times. Someone was always with her, watching her, making sure, I guess, she was okay, but possibly looking for any clues or anything like that.
Sure.
Of course, the police asked about Zach's father. Leah gave them the name of the man, but once authorities reached out to him, he had no idea he even had a son and didn't want to be involved. So that was a dead-end lead right there.
So dad isn't a suspect at this
No,
point
he
because he didn't even know he existed.
exactly. Police would say that they felt Leah wasn't telling them the whole story about that night. Dogs were sent out to track Zach's scent, and they didn't get past the front door. There was 0 scent outside of Zach. They couldn't even get a direction from his apartment. They could smell him inside the apartment, but once they got outside, could not smell him. Which in my mind is like he was taken out in some type of container into a vehicle right away, or we'll get into the weather of that day, but I don't think that had a bearing on the scent dogs. This was a serious search. Like I said, they had dogs, they also had helicopters, wave runners checking the waterways. They literally searched every body of water nearby.
Are wave runners like jet skis?
Yes.
Okay.
Even an Amber Alert was put out. And this is now the longest running Amber Alert in the entire state's history. Yeah.
Wow.
In an article I read this week, after Zach went missing, it stated there was no reason for parents to fear their children being taken. It stated they didn't even know if a crime had been committed at this point. All they knew that Zach was missing. What type of 8-year-old can leave on their own without any witnesses and stay gone while a huge search covering thousands of acres is happening? Like, there's no way.
None that I know of.
No 8-year-old can pull off this devious of plan of running away.
No. Not covering up, not thinking, especially the covering up the scent at the doorway.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Most articles a year or two after, they're like, they don't know if he was a runaway or not. He was 8. I cannot fathom how they think he vanished without a trace at 8 on his own accord. I don't know if they think that or they were just putting that. It's mind-boggling to me that was
Yeah.
even an idea.
I don't agree with that at all.
Yes. Some crime scene details. No forced entry found. However, the door was unlocked. So I guess someone could have randomly tried the front door that wanted to steal a child, and bam, they got freakishly lucky.
Or they've scoped out the situation. They've seen her bring her son in. She walked out without her son in the middle of the night. That's an opportunity. Then check the doorknob. If it's unlocked, sure.
Yes. Yeah. She started saying that she was gone 15 minutes. That's for the whole walk, the swim, everything. That's what her initial reports were, that it was 15 minutes. Yeah. The likelihood that this is just a random thing in my mind is slim to none. I cannot just imagine someone testing the doorknob and, oh, yeah, I'm lucky that a kid's alone in here. It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
I'm saying I think whoever did this had to have been watching, like you said, or known Zach would be alone. Or Leah could possibly have been gone for more than 15 minutes. Because that's a
Perhaps.
very short window of time.
Well, so
Yeah.
at 3:00, she goes on this 15-minute walk
Mhm.
to go on a walk, decide to go for a fully clothed swim, do a couple of laps, which, I mean, if she's not an avid swimmer, that doing a few laps would probably take me 15 minutes because Whitney's not an avid swimmer. So that's the 15 minutes right there.
Yeah.
And
I
then
know.
walking back.
Exactly. I feel like it would have taken some time.
My name is Mike Morford. Some of you may know me as co-host of the podcast Criminology. I'd like to tell you about a solo podcast that I host, which is very close to my heart. It's called The Murder in My Family. We've all heard about horrible murder cases in the news, both solved and unsolved. Most of the time, we listen for a moment and then go about our daily routine. But have you ever wondered who those murder victims were? Or thought about their backgrounds? They're more than a blurb in the news or a statistic. They were real people living real lives. They were someone's child, parent, sibling, or friend. In The Murder of My Family, I try to get to know those victims with the help of the people that knew them best, their family members. Together, we talk about the lives and tragic deaths of their loved ones, as well as the ripple effect the murder has had on surviving friends and family. Some of the episodes feature high-profile cases you're probably familiar with, like the Colonial Parkway murders, the Delphi murders, or the Golden State Killer murders. But many other cases are ones from small towns all over America that barely made the news. There are dozens of episodes of The Murder of My Family available right now to binge on. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
I do want to give a little bit of a backstory when it comes to Leah. Like I said, Leah was a single mother to Zach. But when he was born, she was living with her boyfriend. There was a paternity test given to baby Zach, and it turns out that Zach was not the boyfriend's child. So they broke up. Leah ended up moving out of her boyfriend's house because they broke up. And Leah gave Zach her mother's married name. As I was researching this, I had no clue of where Bernhardt came from until I finally found that it was her mother's new married name.
Okay.
Leah also gave birth to a little girl in 1994. So this is about 3 years after Zach was born. She moved to Michigan with her then boyfriend, who was attending the University of Michigan. They eventually broke up, and Leah moved back to Florida with her daughter, who I'm not going to name because she was just like a little tiny baby in all of this. So they're back in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Then the little girl's dad comes to visit. This is just barely after they've gotten back to Florida, a couple of weeks. So they are meeting for him to get his visitation. And she asks her ex-boyfriend, hey, can you take Zach too? I want to go out tonight, have some fun with my friends, that kind of thing. And he's like, yeah, sure, that's fine. This is my daughter's brother. It's perfectly okay. So he takes him. Leah doesn't come back for 2 days.
Oh, geez.
She was supposed to be back that night. She doesn't. Her daughter's father ends up filing a missing persons report because they can't get a hold of her. Even her sister is with him filing this missing persons report because nobody knows where she's at. She ends up turning up a couple days later. She just was out partying and lost track of time.
4 days?
I don't know that lifestyle, but I'm sure people do.
God, that makes my liver hurt thinking about it.
Seriously. So, of
But,
course,
okay.
this guy is absolutely not. He files a petition right away to get custody of his daughter. He's granted full custody. She moves up to Michigan with him, and that's like the last of that. But now Zach is with his mom constantly. He does go back and forth to his aunt's a couple of times for various reasons. If his mom had gotten a new boyfriend, he would, and she'd be like moving in with this boyfriend or moving out. So to keep him in like the same school, he would live with his aunt or his grandma on and off over the few years. Another one of Leah's exes said he didn't understand how she went out all the time because she had a kid. But this only comes after he ended up with a misdemeanor domestic violence charge for shoving Leah out of his house when he found her at another man's house. So there's like all this crazy drama. She dates a lot of men and moves into their apartments or houses very quickly. There was even another instance of Leah's family filing a missing persons report. This was in 1997. Just like the last time, Leah would take off for days. They wouldn't have any contact with her. And then she would just show back up and they'd have to cancel this missing person report on her.
So this is not out of the norm for her to check out for a little bit of time. And this is before cell phones. So they're not tracking her cell phone. There's no GPS. There's no like load jacks in vehicles at this point. This is really just her going off on I don't want to say a bender because I don't know if she's just drinking the entire time or not, but she's just stepping away from her parenting duties for days on time. It just wasn't uncommon.
Yes, I completely agree. This happened periodically through her lifetime. She needed a break, whatever case may be. It's just multiple missing persons reports has been filed for her throughout the year. Eventually, Leah seems to get things in order. She became an apartment complex manager for some rundown apartments in St. Petersburg, Florida. This is right next to Clearwater, by the way. The owners of the apartments paid the rent and the utilities, but they didn't give her a salary. However, however, she only kept this job for a few months. She ended up in a big fight with the owners of the apartment complex, and she had to move out and in with a friend, her and Zach at this point. Regardless of Leah's unstable lifestyle, teachers and family members would say she was a caring and loving mom, and Zach loved her so much.
Aww.
Leah would volunteer at his school, and you can tell like that's the only person he had, and his mom was his everything, regardless if he lived with her or he didn't live with her. But at the end of the day, Leah and Zach were kicked out or evicted from almost every place that they ever stayed. Eventually, in 1999, is when the duo moved into the apartment complex that Zach would go missing from. A few people in the complex knew the mother and son, and one lady by the name of Dina became friends with Leah, and they would occasionally swap watching each other's kids. They had a falling out, and they wouldn't hang out anymore. But the reason I'm bringing up Deanna is because the fact that she told police around 3:45 a.m. the morning Zach went missing, her boyfriend was leaving her apartment, so she went out to walk him out or whatever. And Deanna states that Leah's car was not in the parking lot. Another neighbor went out to smoke around 3 a.m., and she said she saw Leah's vehicle driving out of the complex. And if you remember before, Leah said she drove the trash to the dumpster. It was around 1, and that was the only time her vehicle ever left. That's a little bit suspicious, if you ask me. I don't want to say it would be completely innocent, but possibly Leah went out and left Zach there for a longer period of time. Could that have happened? Like she went to a local bar or met up with a friend and left Zach there, and she didn't want to be accused of anything else for leaving him for so long. Because remember, he's 8. So even when she would work, a neighbor would watch him overnight.
Yeah, he wasn't old enough to stay at home alone, especially overnight at that time frame. But
with the door unlocked as well.
Absolutely. And what if she just ran to the store? Maybe there's a gas station at the corner of the apartment complex. Even just a couple minutes there and back.
Exactly. Yeah. Leah remained active for a while about her son's disappearance, but that didn't last forever. Possibly because of the public scrutiny or something more sinister, Leah moved from Florida and eventually found her way to Hawaii, where she goes by a different name as well. Her mother, so Leah's mother and her sister, the two that also raised Zach, state that they have the same phone number and addresses as the day that Zach went missing. And they're the ones that have been spearheading the continuous search for Zach all this time. And they don't lay blame on Leah at all. They honestly just say she had to get away from all of this. I don't know if they say she's a part of the search or they keep her up to date or what. They just say for her mental health, she had to stop searching, like physically herself. And I do want to talk about other people or possible theories in this case. There's not many, so this will be very quick. I have no doubt in my mind that someone took him. He did not leave on his own. Of course, I don't know if this person was known to Zach or not, but another possible person of interest in this child abduction is a man by the name of Kevin Jalbert. Jalbert is, I don't know why, it just sounds like jailbird to me. And every time
little bit.
I say it, I just like giggle like a dummy. So this dude's a piece of dirt, so I obviously don't feel bad about saying his name. So Kevin was bragging about kidnapping children in this area. So police ended up they were getting tips in that this Kevin dude was saying that, oh, he kidnapped kids and oh, he murdered kids. So law enforcement sent in an undercover cop to befriend him, wired up, of course. And Kevin tells this undercover cop, which I'm sure he didn't know for a long time, he tells him that he kidnapped a boy from the apartment complex that Zach lived at.
Like he named the complex?
Like they were driving around and he said, oh, I kidnapped a boy and murdered him from this apartment complex. Yes. He didn't point to the right apartment building or like the set of apartments, if that makes sense. But so we didn't get that exactly right. But it turns out Kevin lived in these apartments at one time. So he could have just been like bragging or like trying to fluff up.
Or did they check to make sure it wasn't another kid? Just to be devil's advocate here a little bit. Did we cross all our T's and dot all our I's on that?
Zach was the only one at this point, but we're going to get into what happens after this.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yes.
A little bit of foreshadowing there I was not prepared for.
Yeah. So they couldn't find anything that actually linked Kevin to Zach's disappearance. No DNA, which, I mean, we still don't have Zach, so there's no DNA for any of that. But I guess in the house, there was no DNA tied Kevin to it.
Okay.
Kevin was arrested. He was charged and convicted of a whole bunch of child sexual assault images with the intent to distribute. He was never convicted of kidnapping or murders or anything like that. He did claim that he abducted and raped 1,000 children and killed 5. His sister stated that he is a chronic liar and exaggerates to receive a
That's a bit excessive to go to those measures to say I've raped 1,000 children or taken 1,000 children, whatever. That's a jump. And then murdered 5? That's more than seeking attention.
I agree. I agree. The fact that he was just saying this to everyone, even a undercover cop, is just insane. He did have so many images on his computer of sexual assault towards children. And I just read articles about him where his mom believed that he didn't do this. And she said he denied every time someone tried to send him these images because he's a good boy and would never do that. And I'm just like, oh my God, you're insane. On the 1-year anniversary of Zach's disappearance, our country obviously experienced something like no other. And because of this, Zach missing was pushed to the back of the pile. The family actually had a candlelight vigil planned for his 1-year anniversary of being missing, but that is when the planes hit the Twin Towers and everything completely pushed off.
America flipped upside down, not necessarily the world, because they saw it happen, but it didn't affect them near as much as it did Americans.
Exactly. It would take some type of tip or something happening in this case before it was really focused on again. And this came on New Year's Eve of 2001, just months after 9/11. Something happened. At the very same apartment complex that Zach went missing from, a 5-year-old little boy was playing with his friends outside when some man snatched him in broad daylight in front of the other kids.
Same apartment complex?
Same apartment complex. 1 year, a little over a year later. I know what you're all thinking. What in the flipping hell is going on at these apartment complexes? How can 2 boys be taken? Before I get into any more details about the 5-year-old, I want to put your mind at ease. He was found and he survived whatever he went through. He was with the psychopath that took him for 10 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. The kidnapper drove about 80 miles north of Tampa, and he put the kid in some type of trash barrel dumpster and left. The kid only had minor physical injuries, and his name has never been released because police believe he could have been sexually assaulted and being 5 years old. Let's not even go there.
And I'm surprised by that with Florida because they have rules where they just give all the information all the time, regardless of a victim's age. So it's good to know that they protected that victim's privacy.
I completely agree. I was very glad that they did that. And I could not imagine being that boy's mother, knowing that Zach went missing just a year ago and your little boy is gone. Ugh. The boy was able to describe the vehicle he was taken in, and it was a white pickup truck, and it had decals of ice cream cones and decals of Stone Cold Steve Austin, the wrestler guy.
That's an interesting mix. Ice cream cones and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
The boy did say he started to lure him with the promise of ice cream. So I don't know if he was pretending to be like an ice cream truck.
Oh, maybe.
Yes. The man was described as a white male that had shoulder-length black hair. He was somewhere around 5'7" to 5'11". And they never caught this guy either.
Ugh.
Yep. Billboards were put up periodically throughout the years around Clearwater to jog people's memories and keep Zach's name out there, but not much ever came from it. Yeah. Could Zachary go out of the house to look for his mom since she wasn't in the apartment and then he was taken? I feel like if it was super random like that, if he had walked out into the apartment complex, someone grabbed him, there would be evidence of some sort of struggle or anything like that, but there was no sign of struggle. And I feel like the scent dogs would have been able to track him if this would have happened. It did rain a tiny bit, but because this is summer in Florida, it rains usually every afternoon. If he went missing around the 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. time frame, it was a warm 78 degrees out. The light rain didn't come until about 12 hours later. So there are so many questions. There are literally zero clues or evidence of where Zachary could be. So how could Zachary Bernhardt disappear? If you have any information on Zach's disappearance, please contact the Clearwater Police Detectives at 727-562-4242.
I don't want to speculate here, but has the mom been cleared without a doubt?
No. They have never named anyone as a suspect. The mother, police say they felt like the mom knows more than what she's saying.
Because if I were to think of what theories could surround this or possible scenarios in which this could have happened, when she took the trash out, was it actually trash? Could she have taken her son's body out?
I would hope that was the first place they searched.
I would hope so too. And then perhaps the subsequent swimming with clothes on, a little bit of a moment of psychosis or something of, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Or she needed to get something off her clothes. I don't know. And maybe this is just we've covered too many cases and now I've gone off of the rails a little bit.
I don't think it's off the rails. Based on what we know about this case from all of the articles, the year 2000, because I went year by year to see what was put out there about him in the archives. But I hate that. His aunt and his grandma, even as much as last year, they go on the anniversary of his disappearance. They are on the news. They are fighting. They fight for their missing children. They don't even just wear shirts of Zach. They wear it of all different children that are missing.
They advocate.
They do. And they're just adorable. I
No.
don't know. I do feel, I'm not saying that his mom did it, but I do feel like the timeline or something's not adding up.
Yeah. There's got to be something else there. They're missing something, or this would be a closed case.
Exactly. There's nothing about where he could possibly be.
This one's hard for me because I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old.
I know. It's really rough, which this case also reminds me of our deep dive for this quarter. It's going to be a tragic little boy story, and those are the hardest for us.
They are.
And that is Florida.
Wow. Just by listening to our content, you too are advocating for justice for these families. Thank you for making a difference in their lives as well.
We want to share a few ways you can support us to continue our mission. You can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $1 per month, or a simple rate and review on your favorite podcast platform helps us get in front of someone who may know something.
We will continue traveling state by state, seeking justice, because we will be there, no matter where,
no matter who.